ShinRobjira.
Today we're going to be talking about the Neca Godzilla 1989 figures. First up, let's take a look at these boxes because they are indeed beautiful. Up first, we have the original releases box, and honestly, my favorite box of the bunch because goddamn, I don't think you could get a more badass poster than this. But for the most part, it's got standard Neca fare on the backs and sides, a little bit of a read-up, pause if you wish, and opening up this masterpiece, it just gets better. The flower petals, the shot to the left over here, you really don't get much better than this. Now that's not to say that the Biollante Bile box is bad, it's just, you know, in comparison, it really doesn't hold a candle. The inside is rather nice as well. We got that picture of Biollante up there just spurging all over the side of the box. It's okay. Neca knew they couldn't beat it. But anyway, that's enough of the boxes. Time to take a look at the figure. And oh boy, it's beautiful. Yeah, I'm just gonna be upfront. I have very positive feelings about this figure still, just there's some things about it that I'm not crazy about. And that's mostly going to be in the face. I feel like there was like a bit of a mix-up going on when they were sculpting this figure. As I'm sure many of you are aware, there was more than a few suits going around on the set of Godzilla vs. Biollante, one of which had to be heavily altered to match what the sea suit looked like. Or was that the... Yeah, it was the land suit that needed to look like the sea suit more. And maybe what we have here is just a weird mix of the two? I don't know. He's got the pronounced crest up here on the top of his head, which I feel is one of 89's more defining features. It's just, overall, yeah, like, just all this right here, it's meh. And he just doesn't look right with his mouth closed either. Keep that open. Anyway, from the very top of his neck all the way throughout his back, we are going to get some beautiful, beautiful, beautiful looking dorsal fins that are going to follow all the way through to the tip of the tail. Thank you. The toes are going to be this dark, fungalish looking gold yellow, as will the Godzilla claws. The teeth are going to be around the same color. I feel like they're a little bit lighter. And of course, we're going to get that very glossy, fleshy look for the inside of Godzilla's mouth, both on his tongue and on the roof of his mouth, with some nice details. And finally, we have Godzilla's eyes, which are going to be white and brown with a black pupil, and I know this was a huge discussion point when this figure was first unveiled. A lot of people saying that Godzilla didn't have whites of his eyes. A lot of people saying that they should have been a little bit more red with veins and such. Me, I didn't really give a shit because, hey, 1989 Godzilla, he's got a figure, this is cool. And depending on which prop or suit you're looking at, the whites of Godzilla's eyes are visible, it's just, they weren't wholly visible throughout the entirety of the movie, and this is an instance where I will say with clear confidence that SH Monster Arts absolutely did it better. Just the overall look and feel of that face, the head, the mean look in the eyes, it's just, you don't want to mess with this Godzilla. While Neca's Godzilla, he's kind of adorable and looks like he's asking for a hug. In the face, at least. Now that I'm done with that chasm of a topic, it's nice to see that there are some differing colors on Godzilla's body over here. It's not exuberantly obvious, but the closer you look at it, the more you can see different blends of what looks like a green and a darker color really mixing together and commingling for a nice second-hand shot at the figure. And of course, the detail game going on here is nothing short of just fantastic. Good show there, Neca. Speaking of that paint color once more, it's nice to see that it's really strewn about across the entirety of the figure. It's not just on the front, it's on the sides, it's on the tail. It looks really cool. I know some people aren't really crazy about that, but I dig it. I dig it quite a bit. Since we're at the tail, the underside of the tail over here is going to have some very nice underside of the tail Godzilla details. Yes, that's right. From his gooch to the base to the midsection, it's all detailed. It's all nice. And for the most part, when it comes to paint and detail, that about's going to wrap it up. This guy didn't need much. He was able to accomplish a good, mostly movie-accurate look with not a lot at all, and I give Neca a lot of credit for that. But just because I'm a sucker for dorsal plates, look at the paint. Look at the detail. Oh my god, they look so nice. I love it so, so much. But as we all know, it doesn't end there for paint and detail, because this guy came with a breath effect piece. Probably one of the better, or maybe even the best breath effect piece I've seen come out of Neca. All of the different colors present, a nice shiny coat, beautiful swirly and fire concentrated details. This is pretty damn cool. I like it a lot. And what I like even more is just how easy it is to apply. That's it. And all criticisms aside, it doesn't take much to make this figure look so dang cool. So as far as this original release goes, I am going to give him a solid star in terms of paint and detail, but he is going to receive... I'm feeling a half a star in terms of the face. It's not very accurate, and I don't always need accuracy in my figures, but this is one of the ones I would have preferred to actually have an accurate head. Yeah. Let's take a look at Biollante Bile-GOJI. Oh yeah, I bet this guy feels all sorts of funky.
He slimed me.
The first thing I wanted to make mention of here is just the red around Godzilla's eyes, which feels like a bit of a response to Godzilla's eyes being too white. Could have used a little bit more, honestly, but I think the Biollante Bile version really does it a little bit better. I actually think the Biollante Bile version looks a lot better from the front than the other one does. I mean, he still does look like give me hugs, Goji, just a bit. But I don't know, maybe it's the meaner looking brows this guy appears to have. Or maybe it's just because the figure looks a lot better with his head pointed downwards. That might be it. But anyway, Biollante Bile-GOJI is going to have all sorts of different greens strewn about his face, neck, torso, and other areas. And I really do feel like Neca doing repaints like these is where they really, really shine. I just can't help but love how goopy and messy Godzilla looks here. And I do like that some of that color even managed to hit him on the dorsal fins. Sure, I wish there was more than this, but what can you do? It really was more so his frontal half that got the brunt of it, and look at this. Oh my god, I love the spackling effect going on here. It doesn't feel like, say, the new Movie Monster series Hedorah, where there's certain parts where it's just like, yeah, that was obviously machine painted. While I don't doubt that this guy was probably machine painted, I like that they just added a little extra touch to it to make it feel a lot more realistic. And I really do like that it just trails off. You're not just going to get these little spackle dots just on his crotchal area. It's going to be all over the legs too. Both sides of the legs. Hell, even back here on the tail, which might have been a mistake, but for something like this, I consider that a happy mistake. It just adds to the figure. Oh yeah, it's even like that on this side of the figure too. And now, I guess I can move into the gloss, because this figure has some gloss on him, and I think that really helps this guy. In comparison, OG89 had a bit more of a matte finish to it, while Biollante Bile Boy over here has a bit more of a sheen to him. Obviously, of course, to help communicate that he did just get puked on by some girl at the Infected Mushroom concert, but also to represent that Godzilla's in the water. He's getting all splashed around, vines with mouths and all that other shit. It's a nice touch. And the differing shades of greens on top of one another, again, just sends this repaint into the upper echelon. It's on his hands and nails, it's on his forearm, it's on his bicep, it's even on the side of the figure, under his arms, side of the head, side of the neck, front of the neck with even more spackle. Yeah, Godzilla really got the splash zone effect going on. That being said, save for a few little bips and bobs of green, the dorsal fins do mostly remain the same. In a perfect world, my insatiable appetite for wild repaints would have seen this thing absolutely coated from head to toe in neon greens of all different shades, but again, what we got is still pretty dang perfect. Okay, maybe not perfect, but pretty dang good, yeah. And much like that original release, this guy comes with a breath effect piece with minor differences, although that might just be exclusive to my copy. I don't know, I've always seen a slightly greenish hue on this thing. It's not really coming up on footage over here, so I might just be going insane. But I feel the darker blues are much more prominent on this version, and I feel like it's got a bit more of a shine to it. That's really the only way I've been able to tell these two things apart since I got both of the figures in. This is the Biollante Biollante Bile version. This is the standard version. You guys can see that, right? This thing definitely has more darker blues. This one has a more healthy mix of darker and lighter blues. I don't know. I'm still seeing a bit of a green hue in some areas on the piece to the left. And whether this was intentional or not, I do appreciate it. Not that it outwardly matters. They both fit in the mouth all the same. But I like the little things like that, whether they're intentional or not. And just like the original release, applying the atomic breath piece is just as easy. Yet again, making it very hard to make this figure not look cool. Just look at that. Ah. So as far as Puke Boy goes, I'm going to give him a solid star in terms of paint and details. Same half a star for the face, even though I feel like it does kind of come off a little more improved. But as we've been doing with the Necathon videos, which of these two is my preferred 89 Goji? I love my wild repaints and I love this Biollante Bile version, but I also love the original release so very much. But I cannot deny that my heart absolutely does reside with the Biollante Bile version. And since both of these figures were released so close to one another and feature the exact same amount of articulation, he'll be going on to the articulation round. As demonstrated before, Godzilla's mouth can open and close, head can move down about that far and back up. Head is on a ball joint over here. You'll get the exact same movement at the base of the neck over here. Can lean right, can lean left, can go down, can go up. And of course you'll get rotation in both of these random little areas. The arms can move up about that far. Thankfully they can both swivel with ease on both sides. Oh yes, we'll get a bend up at the elbow and a bend down, and of course, a swivel. Wow, this is the smoothest articulations gone on a Neca Godzilla figure since this series started. A nice swivel at the wrist. We'll get a nice bend up at the wrist. There we go, spoke too soon. And we'll get a rather nice bend down. Holy moly. And as you can see, we'll get a nice hinge at the palms over here. So you can bring Godzilla's fingers down to make a fist, or you can bring them all the way up to make it look like he's asking for a high four. Stop. As far as the torso goes over here, you will be able to actually give Godzilla a bit of a lean forward, so looking down is going to be really nice with this figure. You can also bring him right back up, and he can swivel all the way around. Just look at that. Yes! He looking down on all these hoes. And up next... no. Let's take a look at this tail. The perfect S-curve. Do I need to say anything more than that? Ball joint, ball joint, ball joint, ball joint, ball joint, ball joint, another ball joint. You can practically curve this tail right to Godzilla's elbow over here, as if it's pointing where the pain is. Just the fact that you can go from this right into this with absolutely no effort at all, it's a win. I think Neca were absolutely coming into their own, especially when it comes to the articulation on these things, because that is just magnificent. Wow. And now we can take a look at the legs. The thighs can move out about that far. They can both... Holy... No way. Oh my god. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. They both rotate so smoothly. Holy shit. Wait a minute. Now it's time for the true test. Bend at the knee. Oh my god. Oh no. We were so close, damn it. Swivel. Yeah, you know what? It is too hot and I am too sweaty to be putting myself through this. It's possible to swivel at the knees. It's just not working with me right now. A swivel that won't give me a hard time is a swivel at the ankle with a decent pivot. Decent enough, not great, not very deep, but it do be there. I'm going to give Biollante Bile Goji, and by extension, the original 89 Goji, a solid star in terms of articulation. They do a great job. Yes, it's not the ball-jointed masterpiece that is SH Monster Arts sometimes. But mind you, this hulking mass of Godzilla was $25 to $30 in stores. Exactly. size comparisons. My minor gripes with the face aside, I can't help but praise these things. And I like that the Biollante Bile version isn't just green paint on him, they actually added gloss to make it look like he's been splashing around in the water. It's really, really cool. And to know that it would end here, and with the 2003 version, it really does feel like we were robbed, because had Neca continued on, I feel like they'd be even more of a competitor with SH Monster Arts, especially if they, started doing other kaiju as well. But that is just a pile of could've beens and what ifs. What we have is pretty dang good. It's not for everybody, believe me, I've seen it. But as far as I go, fam, I love them. I really wish Neca retooled their Burning and 94 Godzillas to look a little bit more like this, because this would have been peak. And I really, really would have loved to have seen a 2000 Godzilla, hell, even a Final Wars Godzilla that's as bulky and awesome as this. I know Final Wars Goji isn't really bulky, but you know what I'm saying. And that's about it for this episode of Necathon, everybody. I do so hope you all enjoyed. When next we meet, hopefully in cooler conditions, I will be talking about all 3 of the 94 Godzillas. Although one is 94, the other is 95, and the other is a Loot Crate DX exclusive figure that glows in the dark and that I finally fucking fixed. Let's go! See y'all then and there. Peace.